Perhaps we can explore for a moment what just happened. So this voice was speaking. Obviously, there was listening. So through language, the sound touches your ears. You understand the words that I said and the words I'm saying now. And there's a contact. There's the acoustic contact, the actual sound and the experience of hearing. And there is language contact, so some kind of meaning, like I invite you to observe the body, and perhaps you understand those words and you do it. And there is mind to mind contact, where I've had this thought that is emergent from my experience of being present in this body. I know something of the value of that for me. Perhaps I have experience teaching others or something, so there's confidence there. I share through words, I share that guidance, that you might observe the head and the body and so on. You understand that, and your mind understands, and perhaps, I don't know for sure, tries it out, does it. You pay attention to the body. Perhaps there's some value, I don't know. And that mind to mind contact has been a vehicle for something hopefully good. Like right now, I'm speaking. You're understanding my words, I hope. And it's a vehicle for something like, oh, what is this about the nature of relationship that makes possible this very moment of dharma? This moment, not some abstract dharma, not some abstract life that I should live or used to live or want to live. This moment like this. Rising and vanishing, impermanent, emergent, and fading away with every word I speak, every word you hear. Your thought moments come and go as my hand moves, as my voice moves. And here we are together in the impermanence of it, in the tender humanity of it. Oh my God, what is going on here? The beauty, the complexity, the unknowability of how this is, of consciousness itself. Wow. And this is a dharma channel, right? This is actually what the Buddha points to when he speaks about the voice of another and wise attention are the necessary, not optional, not kind of maybe important to the path, the necessary conditions for the arising of right view, understanding. And since right view, wisdom, is the culmination of the path, it's like, wow, this is the path right here completely. This is not partial path, like, oh, I'll listen to Gregory, then I'll go meditate. Or I'll listen to Gregory, then I'll go off and be a good person or something. This is path now. And it's enabled, it's made possible by relational contact. Spiritual friendship is the whole of the holy life. Famous quote from the Buddha, yeah? But it's not idle words. This is it here. This is our spiritual friendship. It's not mushy. Well, sometimes it's mushy, but it's also, just like this. It's like, wow. Aware, intelligent, caring beings saying, how do I live? What do I do? My God, I'm so sensitive and the world is out of control. What do I do? That's what the Dharma is about, right? From the discourses. Does anybody have a word or two that can help with this suffering? That's what we're doing. So to understand this moment, you might say, I would like to say, in depth or in detail or in its refinement, to understand this, I would suggest, if you'll allow me, is crucial to our path. I speak about a relational dharma, right? And kind of just to highlight, this has been ignored, perhaps, but it's really the whole of the dharma that is infused with relatedness, just as it's infused with our individuality. We close our eyes. No one else knows what's going on in this universe of the mind, of the heart. No one knows but me in this moment. Okay, very individual. The aggregates of perception and feeling and consciousness seems very individual until you look at what this is like as a lived experience. Right now, this is, to, since I just mentioned the aggregates, this kind of profound teaching that's not often talked about because it seems kind of geeky. It's very deep teaching. In this moment, you perceive the words I speak, you perceive this face. Look at my face. I don't know how big your screen is or whatever, but there's perception happening. Sanya in Pali, perception. And right with the perception, which happens at this moment of sensory contact, there's also a feeling tone with it. So you see me, and it's like, oh, it's another old white guy, or it's like, oh, this Dharma teacher, blah blah blah, that I thought good things about, or that I've been curious about, or it's an American, like whatever that means. All perceptions with feelings associated with them in this moment now. And of course, I perceive through this, screen and these images, these beings, and also all the beings with their names, with their cameras off. That's got a certain feeling to it as well. And I see faces, and each face I say, different percepts. Oh, you know, it's a man, or it's a woman, or it's a certain age, or they look this way, or something like that. And if you were speaking to me, I would have what you have now, a response, a heart response, a body response with just the sound of the voice. I would be having that with you, but it's this one way thing now. So we just have to put up with that. But you can listen to this, and there's ear contact, perception, and feeling arising now, just like this. So we're in this mutual contact, constantly rising and vanishing and changing, constantly shifting. Awareness can come here. And do we say, oh, yeah, okay, this is Dharma, this is alive with inquiry. We're bringing in the wisdom piece, the formal Buddha Dharma, the formal teachings, in this case, about perception and feeling and contact and consciousness. All this is right now a living experience. And this living experience points to, oh my, there's a lot going on here. This is a lot. And it's a completely safe Dharma talk on a screen, very distant and not. Why is it intimate, this thing? Why is it in some way, at least if you don't think the word intimate feel, at least it's complex, and where there's awareness that's not fettered, that's not distracted, it's touching, it's human. How can this be? It's because the entire body mind evolved to be extra sensitive to human contact. It's how we gathered together to protect ourselves against animals, to hunt together. But it created family love that allowed the babies, the infants, to survive and to, not be capable of taking care of themselves for many years. Humans are just really lame when it comes to survival. But there's caring, there's the parent-child bonding, all of that stuff. We do that each moment of eye contact, ear contact, body contact. That's what we do. And that sensitivity, of course, is part of our entanglement and our freedom. The entanglement's easy to see, isn't it? It's like, wow, this is complex, and you got love, and you got hate, and you got, sexuality, and you got, all the tribal stuff that happens, and all of the generational stuff that happens, and all the racial stuff that happens. So we form in groups and out groups because that's also evolved in us, along with all the hormones of bonding and all the brain structure of facial recognition. All of it is a package. And that points to the power of relational contact. The voice of another and wise attention, for example. The essential nature of spiritual friendship, for example. The gem, if you will, to use the traditional language, of Sangha, of community. Why is community so important? The Buddha didn't just go off and teach individuals. He built a Sangha. He gave his energy. He gave his life. For 45 years after his own awakening, he could have just gone off and been comfortable, right? 45 years building a community. Why? Because together we can carry what we can't carry alone. Together we can see what we cannot see alone. We can bear what we cannot bear alone. So the power of this relation element, this kind of vibrating, always active quality. Even when I'm not with you, I'm thinking about you. It's like, who am I in the world? Or I'm thinking about a problem with a particular person, or a joy with a particular person, or what I've got to do for a certain group. It's always, that social stuff is always there, even when you're alone in the forest. So that power is often, I would say, traditionally left out of our meditation practice, and it's left out even of our exploration of dharma, of the exploration of the human experience, like this investigation that you and I are together are doing right now. Like, what is this human experience, and how can I live more skillfully, and so on. That's, we're engaging right now. It's just with a kind of a teacher kind of one-way thing, but we're engaging some of that relational power. But we could be in groups of 2 or 4 or something like that. There could be a conversation that we have to talk about. And if we could pause enough in that conversation to drop down into, like, what do I think or feel about impermanence, or about pain, or about conflict, then we could feel that relational power at work in different forms. But just the power of relatedness is a start. However, we need the stabilizing, the refining power of meditation, meditative qualities of mind. Meditation does not have to look like we've always thought it would look, but we can develop sati, we can develop this mindfulness. We can even develop the calm, the stillness, the samadhi, the concentration when we're with others. And just as the calming of the mind individually lets us see what we can't otherwise see, when we become still together and are continuing to practice mindfulness, continuing to be energetically awake but stable, we begin to see this underbelly of the body-mind in relation. And we can unpack the nature of experience in a different way. But if we do this, if we have this contact without guiding wisdom, in this case, in this context, I'll say directly, without the power of dharma, without the guidance, the sense of like, what kind of stability or balance can I find that's in the world as a wisdom source? It could be the Buddha's teachings. It could be something else, but that has that kernel of perspective that is actually leaning towards liberation, leaning towards compassion, leaning towards love. We need that perspective. We need that reminder, because the mind, my mind anyway, maybe yours, can go anywhere, go all kinds of weird places. But if I have some kind of reference, like we do now, that can be very helpful. And when things get rough, I would say critical. So that's what, Insight Dialogue offers. It brings together that power of relationship, the power of meditative qualities, and the power of wisdom into a practice. But what I feel is really relevant right now for us today is not just that practice, but it's what that practice has revealed in this nature of our relatedness, and how we can apply that in our lives, how we can recognize the power, this tenderness of being in relationship is leading us to war, is leading us to argument, is leading us to perpetual stress. Can it also be brought in skillfully, differently? And can I actually, in my life as a, you might say, spiritual being, or my life on the path, can I also use this power not just to cope with what's difficult, but to actually enhance and develop what's good, what's beautiful, what's healing, what's leading me to skillful action? Is that possible? So I invite us, in just a moment, into exploration of some questions that have been presented and so on. But I'm sharing with you right from the top that I can no longer separate out this poignancy and power of our relatedness and how it manifests in the Dharma from something that you might want to say is some individual path that I am on, that each of us individually is on. That's there, but you can't separate them out. So we're in it together. Very tender thing, you know.